once we see all the demo or in between the demo, and then finally understand the meaning of what is Flex Gateway. Again, definition will come to the end of this section, not now. I'm not even talking about what is Flex Gateway or the architecture, control plane, runtime plane, nothing. Okay, we'll just go through the basic demo. Okay, so this is the closest one that what we have. Now, how is this related actually? Okay, so just let me go to the next slide. Right. No, before getting into this, okay. Let me take up this architecture. Okay, you have a WLC, okay, and you have an access point. Okay, hear me out for some time. You'll understand why it's so important to know this. First, let me talk about the access point, right? I hope most of you would have seen it or even utilized it in your day-to-day work. Okay, if you kind of walk into your office day by day, right? If you're in a if, if you're in an enterprise building, if you're in a large building where there is Wi-Fi connected all across it, okay, and you're in the first floor, okay, you're in the first floor accessing the Wi-Fi, okay, first floor accessing the Wi-Fi, and there's an access point where it gets connected to your device, and you're in the second floor, yet you're still accessing the Wi-Fi, and there is an access point towards it, which means that if a user navigates from first floor to second floor, there'll be a series without any interruption. The Wi-Fi would be available to you, right? There'll be no any interruption in between, even though you are navigating from first floor to second floor, because at every location there will be multiple access point established within the building. Okay, and that way of moving from without seamlessly uninterrupted gaining the Wi-Fi, okay, is what we also call as roaming. And if you believe that whatever I'm talking is not related to MuleSoft, hold on for that. Okay, you'll see it's completely related to what I'm talking. All of this will make sense once we actually complete the demo. Okay, so access point. Every building, every floor, you have an access point where it will be connected to, where your devices can be connected to Wi-Fi, and then there's no need of any disruption, right? It happens. So each of this access point will be actually installed, physically installed, okay, in the premise. Now, what happens is that at the end, they need a controller to control all this access point, and that's what we called as W. That's what we just saw this year. WLC. Okay, wireless LAN access control. So this is actually a physical server where there is a bunch of softwares installed within it, which will deal with all the network related activities. Like if a new network joins, it will take care of it. If one of the access point gets demolished, this will take care of it. It's a maintenance. It's a bunch of software deployed in a server which maintains all these things. And this particular WLC can be in anywhere, in any location. Can be in any location. This can be in Singapore, whereas this access point can be in India. This can be in India. Okay. This WLC can be in Singapore, but this access point can be in India. Okay. Now, if I go back to this diagram, see this particular diagram, when a user, okay, so when a user in he's in office, assume that he's in office, and he wants to print a particular document. Now, this is a setup. You have a VLC, WLC, and you have the access point. Okay. So, assuming that this WLC is in Singapore and this is in India. Okay, this is in India. Now, ideally, what happens is that when a user tries to print a paper, the file will actually navigate to the WLC, which is in Singapore, and then navigate back and then prints the paper. While that in process, a tunnel gets established. A tunnel gets established. Okay. Now, the entire process from navigating one end to the other end is a way of establishing a network connectivity. A gateway has been set up. Okay, a gateway has been set up, and since a gateway has been set up, a tunnel has been set up which navigates from one end to the other end, travels back, and then reaches to the destination. And that's where you get the first definition of flex here. Flex here. That's the first definition you get it over here. Okay, as the name itself says here, see, is a wireless connection for branch office and remote office deployments. So here, this is it. This is it. This is deployed locally, whereas this is in remote. Remote. So a local to remote connection has been established over through a tunnel. Now in the local mode, by default, remember this, by default, whenever you establish such kind of connection, right, it will be always by default, it will be in local, which means that this will be in India and even this will be in India. Okay, this will be in India. So it's a local deployment. Okay, but when this shifts to Singapore, WLC shifts to Singapore, that's where the terminology of connected comes into picture. Connected. Okay, that's where the terminology of connected comes into picture, which means that the file actually will not go to Singapore. It will just sit over the switch itself here. It will be in the here. It will be here. It will never go to Singapore. It will make an establishment. Tunnel will be established, but it will never go to Singapore, come back to India and print the paper. It's never going to happen. In connected mode, it will be in the switch here itself. So user prints the paper, goes to switch, comes back and prints it. This is the basics of how the flex have been originated, and this is the base for what MuleSoft have derived the name of connected and local, because internally this is exactly what is happening when you're actually switching the MuleSoft from connected to local mode. Okay, in MuleSoft, in the Flex gateway, there are two options. One is connected, and the other one is local. This story is the one that originated or made MuleSoft to say that okay, now we are going to establish two set of technologies. One is the connected mode, and the other one is the local mode, because this is how it's going to work. Because if I say connected mode, okay, replace this switch with your Anypoint platform. Anypoint platform. If you say local mode, just remove this. It's not there. It's just not there. So this led the foundation to build the architecture, a distributed architecture, which MuleSoft kind of utilized it and gave the name as Flex Gateway. And that's how it all began. Okay. And internally, if you ask whether the architecture behaves like this, yes, this is how exactly it behaves. And can we see that? No. That's a sad part. We can't see that. But this is how it behaves. Okay. So far, are you guys with me, or are you guys just lost too many words? I'll just pause it for a moment now. Guys, are you still with me, right? Okay, good. I just saw the uh, message now. Thanks. Okay. Now let me share my screen again. Okay. So this is the basic definition of Flex again. Flex Connect. Okay. This Flex Connect is one of the terminologies that was again derived in networking, and especially if you have worked on Cisco routers, you use this name very often. Okay. It was formerly known as HREAP, which is also called as Hybrid Remote Edge Access Point. Okay. As the name itself says, Flex Connect, see, is a deployment mode that allows access point to locally switch and authenticate client traffic at remote site. Okay. So, and here this is a Flex connected mode. Okay. Whereas in local mode, a default deployment mode for Cisco line access points. We just discussed what is an access point. If you are in a building, if you are in first floor, second floor, third floor, in each floors you will be having access point established so that device can connect, your wireless device can connect seamlessly without any issues. You don't need to re-authenticate again and again to deal with it. So in local mode, WLC will be self-established within the same premise, whereas in connected mode, WLC will be in a totally different location. That is the reason. Remember it. You don't know where your platform is installed. You have Anypoint platform access with you. You just don't know where it is. That's connect because it's remote. Anypoint platform, you don't know where it is installed. It might be in Singapore, Mumbai. You don't know where it is. Since you don't know where it is, it's remote to me. It's completely remote site. It's a remote site. Anypoint platform is completely remote, outside of my senses, and hence I give the name as Flex Connect, Flex Gateway in connected mode. Now local, there will be no Anypoint platform at all. In local, Anypoint platform will be not there at all. In local mode, there will be no Anypoint platform. In our case, that's the reason it says I'm deploying locally. So Anypoint platform will not come into picture, and hence I have the full control of it. I have the full control of it. So that's where they derived the local mode as well. So where all the APs act as a lightweight devices and traffic is tunneled back to the central wireless control. This will be also established within the same premise. These were the laying foundation to get the name as Flex Gateway Connected and Flex Gateway Local Mode. Okay, so we'll get to the definition later again of Flex Gateway. Now, couple of use cases. This is what we are going to try to achieve within the time window. Okay. Before getting to the use case 4, we need to have at least these 3 use cases built up so that 4 and 5 and 6 becomes more and more clear. More and more clear. Okay. So let's get to the demo. Okay. Oops, sorry. First, let me open the Anypoint platform. Very interesting information, right? About the Flex Gateway connected in local mode. How the name got derived.
Yeah,
Okay. So what am I looking at? Okay. The first option, the first use case, how do I stop this? Okay, use case 1, install mule image and deploy to the application. Now, right now, whenever you deploy an application to your MuleSoft, you see what we actually do, we navigate towards the runtime manager. We actually go to the runtime manager and try to deploy the application. Now, it's simple. I mean, like it's evident, right? If you have to install any application, like uh, like the one I have right now, Snip, Notepad plus plus, or any of those application. If I need to have an operating system installed, an image file, right? I need to have an image file where it will host the application. In the similar way, when you try to deploy an application, there should be an image that will understand that it's coming from a MuleSoft language, right? It need not be operating system, definitely not an operating system, but an image that can hold and tell me, hey, you know what? I know this particular jar file, what you're deploying it, I can take care of it. Okay. So we do it over here in the runtime manager that all of you who come from the MuleSoft background need not, it goes without say, right? You guys know that very well. Now, how can I use without this? Okay, is there a way how you can utilize this without any point platform? Yeah, well, you can install with the, you can take the image, install in Docker, you can take the image, install in any Linux environment, or you can take the image and deploy to any server or machine and make that entire machine as a server. So for example, let me take a machine, okay, Linux or Windows, whatever it is. Okay, I can deploy the mule image, okay, and make this entire machine itself as a server available for you with connecting through some host and port. This itself is possible. Okay, this itself is also possible. Okay, So in the documentation of MuleSoft, they said that there are a couple of ways how you can work with Flex Gateway. One of the common use case what I've seen used getting used in many proof of concepts are the Linux and the Docker version of it. Okay, so I'll start with Docker, and then eventually, if time permits, we will also try to see how to use that in Linux, how to use that in the Windows server itself. I think lot no one has spoken about that, where you can build a whole setup in the Windows server itself. Okay, and if time permits, again if time permits, there's a concept also called as WSL. See, this is my Windows machine. All right, this is my Windows machine. Now there's a thing called as WSL. WSL stands for Windows Subsystem for Linux. Okay, Windows Subsystem for Linux, which means I'm trying to install a Linux machine, a Linux server, not server actually, an operating system on inside Windows. So this is my Windows 10, right? Within Windows 10, I can somehow install Linux and get the both Windows and Linux flavor together, and hence the name Windows Subsystem for Linux, WSL. The current running version is 2, so you can install it and try that for in most of your career development. And that I'm going to start with off, which I've already done it, but I'll just tell you what you have to do. Okay, go to the command prompt. You can say WSL minus minus install minus D and give the operating system name Ubuntu or Fedora or Debian, whichever you're comfortable with, and that will actually install WSL. Okay, something like this. It will ask for a system restart. Go ahead with that, and that you will end up having something like this. And that's the beauty of it. Now you can run your Linux command within Windows. Okay, and you can actually even see from here as well. See this? You have I've installed a couple of things. See here, you can see you can get both best of both the worlds. So that's something that worth knowing to all of you guys in your career. Okay, it really helps. So try to install WSL. That would help a lot. Okay, so let me open up the Docker. That's where we're going to start. So I'm not going to talk about basics of Docker or the commands associated with that. Uh, Not at this moment. Okay, I would maybe some other time. Okay, just let me check that out. Okay, cool. So I have a Docker right now with me, and the first use case is that okay. Um, yeah, let's go to this file. So there is a mule image, standalone mule image, and there is a Docker file which has set of instruction that will help me for the deployment. Now, obviously, I hope you guys would know what's a Docker and the containers associated within the Docker. Okay, so Docker is like a huge amount of ship carrying a lot of goods, and in each container, you know that by now, right? So Docker and again, see, remember this: Docker and containers is not a name associated with computer science. It's an observation that what people saw. What does a Docker do in general, and what does a container facilitate within the Docker? Looking at that observation, that's how the name got derived. So every name that what you see in computer science, either it would have been originated from basic environmental view, whatever you see in your day-to-day life, right? They would have seen it and they would have converted as a use case in computer science, or it would have been originated from mathematics or physics. Okay, that's how all the definitions, all the naming conventions in computer science have been originated. Nothing been of its own. Okay, it's just an environmental observation or things around that. Okay, so this is a Docker file. um, okay, now what does this Docker file actually say, right? So this is a Linux commands. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to set up a JDK path. Okay, obviously I need to have a Java setup because yeah, I need to have that to run the environments of it. So the first thing is that I'm saying that if there are any this if there are any directory with this particular name, mule work directory, I'm asking you to remove it. RM is one of the remove command. RF means recursively and forcefully remove the directory. And then, okay, cool. Right. So once I remove the directory, I'm actually creating a new one. This ideally is not required, but still you can just remove this as well. So I'm creating a directory. So it's just like I'm creating a directory, something like this. Okay, something like this. Okay. The next thing is that I'm adding this particular zip file. Okay, in this particular directory. That's what it means. Okay, see, add. Okay, and once that's done, I'm pointing the work directory to this one again. Okay, then the next step is that unzip it, move it, and remove it. Now, what does this mean? So, unzip this particular zip file. It's like this. Right click, unzip it. So, something like this. Okay, extraction happens. Okay, and then I'm moving this particular name to this particular. I'm kind of renaming it, which means I'm taking this and renaming like this. And remember, all these things are happening inside here. Okay, and then finally I'm removing the zip file, which means just like this. I'm removing the zip file. Okay, and then I'm say volumes are nothing but C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive, whatever drives you have, right, in your operating system. That's the drive. Okay, and then I'm also exposing the necessary ports which are required for the mule application. Okay, now once that's done, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to this bin and mule, which means inside here, mule directory. So here, see this bin and mule, bin and this mule. If it's Windows, it will be bat. If it is shell, it will be this guy. Okay, and I'm asking that to execute. So this entire setup will help me. Whatever process I've just shown you right now, right? This entire process will be done exactly over here. It will be available here for me. Okay, so that's the first use case. So just let's start with that. Okay, command prompt. Okay, and set of commands here. These commands will be available eventually. Okay, need not worry on that. So Docker build, I'm setting the image file name as mule standalone, and this is a Docker file. I'm saying that this is a Docker file. Dot dot means from the current directory. From the current directory. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, and ideally you should have seen something over here. Not containers. Where is that? Okay, yeah, it's still happening. Okay, cool. So there you go, mule standalone, which means yeah, I'm good right now. Okay, I'm good with it. The setup has been done now, which means the image has been set up. It's time that we bring up the containers, spin up the containers. To spin up the containers, these are the certain ports. Okay, now here is the use case. I think this you guys would love the diagram. Demo 1 and 2. This is the one that you're going to see right now. This is the first use case. Now what is going to happen here is that is the diagram visible to everyone?
Yeah, Manju, why don't you remove the panel on the right hand side? Uh,
Panel, this one.
yeah, this one.
Yeah, actually I need for the highlighter. Is that okay?
Okay, then that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So sorry, I need that. Okay. So here. what's going to happen is that this is Windows. Please bear with me. This is Windows and Docker. If you know how to install Docker gets associated with your WSL2. Okay, that's the reason I've given as WSL. You, it uses that. That's the reason it leverages the flexibility of running the Linux commands. Now, what we just did is that we we took this Docker file, created an image in the Docker, created an image in the Docker, and now with the help of this command, we are going to spin up the containers. Okay, and as you can see, there are two things. One, two. Everywhere, see there are two things. Wh- Why is that? We are going to eventually see that. Okay. Now let's run the command and try to bring up this uh, numbers. Okay, so just let me change to 8091. Okay, and we'll try to spin up all of them. Okay, that's our first use case. Oops, sorry. Okay, 8091 and 8081. Okay, that's the first one, and I'm going to spin up another container. So just let me bring parallel side to side. Just let me see this. Okay. See here, you have 8091. Okay, you have 8091 here. Now the another one. Let's spin up the second container, which is 8092. Let's spin up the second, third, the next container, which is 8093. Next, 8094. Okay. So, can you see this? Now we have four containers. Okay. All of them are using the same image name. See? What did we conclude by this? At least now we know that you can create multiple images. Obviously, with not with the same name, but different name. And again, you see here, you have two things, x and y, x dot y, okay, x y x y, which means this is x and this is y. There are two things everywhere. Okay, what's the purpose of it? We'll see that. Okay, now can you see this? The moment once it gets associated with it, you'll just see the status as running. Okay, and this will become in use. Sorry, this will be in use. All right. Now, so we are done with this. We are done with this. Now we'll go to the Anypoint platform. Okay. Now I'll go to Anypoint platform, and here click on this servers under runtime manager. Click on servers, add server. Okay, I'm going to give a server name. Server. What's the port that we have taken? 8091. Okay, 8091. It's just a name. Okay. Copy this command. Copy this command, and let's go back here into the containers. This is 8091. See this. What I'm going to do. Click on these three dots. Open in terminal, and here I'll go to bash. Okay, now did you see it? See, there is a mule directory. Now why did you get this name? Okay, so if I say pwd present working directory, I get this mule directory. Why? Because remember, I've created the directory in this Docker. I created a directory in this Docker. Okay, and within this, see this, let me uh, okay, see this, within this, that's what I said, within this mule directory, go to the bin, go to the bin and run this mule command. So it's in the similar way, we just go to this bin directory and execute this server that we just copied here. Copy this command, because bin is where everything lies, right? I mean, like all the executable, all the scripts that will help you to run, right? So this is the one, 8091. Okay, so I've done with 8091. In a similar way, let me do for the rest four of them. Okay, 8091, add server, 8092, here again bash, print terminal, bash, the new directory, bin, and then 8092. Let me create for 8093. The power of Flex Gateway will be established once you have multiple servers in place. That's where you'll see it. Until that, you'll never understand the purpose of Flex Gateway. The power of it, the power comes up when you see so many servers in place, right? So 8093, and finally 8094. Okay. Okay, there you go. But see here, the problem is that it's still not. It just created. It's not connected. Now to do that, just restart it. Restart everything. Now, this is a graphical user interface. You have a Docker CLI where you can write a lot of command line interfaces to make this activity done. Okay, now see, it should be in created mode. Now, the important thing, just let me see if it's all, it should have come up by now. Okay, it's getting connected. Okay, there you go. It's all running. Now, let's deploy the first application. Okay, uh, let's go to the application, and here, deploy the first application. And I'm going to say, um, oh wait, I think I've already deployed it. Give me a moment, guys. Let me see this. Yeah, okay. See this. I've already deployed an application which is perfect. 89. But I would have used Cloud Hub, I guess. Just give me a moment. I think I would have used Cloud Hub. Okay, this will not help me. Okay, I'll create one more application just for the sake of it. Hello world, 8081, and this should be in. Just give it as name as server. Okay, and here, can you see this? You get these options. You get these options. You select any one of them, 8091. Okay. And I'm going to say hello world 8091. That's better. 8091. Okay. And here I'm going to get that API. Sorry. Choose the file. Import from the exchange. Hello world. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. This one. Okay. Cool. So now if I deploy it, where do you think you can see the logs? See here. The logs would be here right now. And this is I'm deploying in 8091. Check this. Logs are here. See? Can you see this? It's not in any point platform. It's here. The logs are getting here. Okay, the logs are getting generated here, which means this is the first use case that's done. Okay. Now here is a quick question for you, all of you guys. Let's take this an example. Right now, this particular hello world, whatever we have deployed, if you know this, just let me go back to this again. Choose file, import from exchange, and if I say hello world, okay, just click on this view exchange. That's all I wanted to show. Okay. See, they're saying that if you have to call this hello world, this is the port that you have to use. Sorry, this is a host and port you have to do, which means they're saying that local host 8081. Okay. Now in Docker, in this particular image, we have just created something like this 8091, 8092, 8093, and 8094. Right. So there are two things again, X and Y. Two things X and Y. Now, since it was deployed in container work, so which port do you think that I need to invoke? Is it 8091 or 8081? Which one do you think that I have to invoke? Because we just deployed here in 8091 in this particular server, which is this guy. Do I need to call 8081 or 8091? What's your answer, guys?
Manju, there is a question for you in the chat, and people are also responding on the chat.
Okay. Oh, can you show that the logs are not in Anypoint 9? Okay. See here. This is a server. I go here. See this. Okay. The usual logs what you see, it's not there. Okay. Right. So majority of you guys have said it 8091. That's correct. It's 8091. Okay. So it's 8091. Okay. This is the one. One is the listening port. Other one is the incoming port. Okay. Listening port and the incoming port. Sorry, the other way around. Incoming port and the listening port. Incoming port and the listening port. Okay. So 8091, 8092, 8092. That's where a user will invoke this particular one. Remember, the application that what you have developed, you might have created a HTTP listener to this, but you will never invoke this particular port. You'll always invoke this one. So if I go back to this guy and click on it, okay, now you see, hello world, 8090, 8090. Okay. So you will never invoke 8081. It's not going to happen. Okay. It's not going to happen. Okay. That's not how it works. Okay, you're always going to call this particular port always, and this also plays a very crucial role when you are dealing with flex gateway, and especially when you're trying to accommodate the load balancer concepts. Now we are just building the base towards understand the flex gateway more and more better. Okay, and especially when you go for seamless level of certifications, right? All these things plays a huge role. Okay, now 8091. Now another question for you guys. Okay, assuming that there is an application. Okay, this I think I'll skip the demo, but still I would love to. Assuming that I have created a mule application. Okay, sorry. Yeah, guys, can you go on mute, please? Okay, thank you. So you have developed a mule application. Okay, you have developed a mule application, and you have kept the HTTP listener as say 8050. Assuming that you have kept as an 8050. Okay, and there is a container, a new container that you spin up. Okay, new that you spin up, one with the container, uh, something like this, and the second container, something like this. So I have the mule application deployed in both of them. Now which one do you think it will work? Again, let me ask please understand the question. You have a HTTP listener which you have developed in mule application, and the HTTP listener is in 8050. Okay, you deploy it into a container just as we saw right now. See, there's also another way of deployment. See here, what I did right now is that we went to this application and they said deploy application. Okay, and here we selected the import from exchange. Instead of that, I could just upload the file. I could just upload the file, and here I can select the one of the containers. That is also a possibility. Okay, now assuming that that is how I've done. I have taken the jar file. I have taken the jar file and I've deployed in container which is having this particular port. Now, which one do you think it will work? Uh, Let me check the chat. Yeah, eight. Yeah, correct.
8050.
Yeah, 8050. 8050. Okay. Yeah, 8050. Nice. You guys are following it up. 8050. Now,
Manju, I
now
have a question. The logs is not able to find in any point monitoring also. You are saying like we are using titanium version, the flexibility we have, right?
tight. Sorry.
The titanium version we using in any point platform, then at that time we are able to see logs in any point monitoring and runtime manager as well, right? The container logs as well.
Container logs are here, right? Right now you're using the logs right here.
But I'm saying about the runtime manager in the it's showing in container, right? But
Correct.
those logs it will be available into the runtime manager as well, using into the titanium version.
I don't know that. I don't know that. I've never used titanium with this combination. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe or may not be. At this moment, it's not there. I have not seen that. I'm not aware of that. Okay, so sorry to disappoint you. Okay. Um, Now here 8050, right? 8050. Now if it's 8050, yeah, this yeah scraps out, and here you have it. Now what do you think the user should call when the user tries to invoke? Do the user need to invoke 8050 or 8070, 8700? What do you think the answer is? Um, okay, just let me go to chat window again. 8700. That's correct. Everyone have got that concept very clear, which means that this is how, like this, this is how it should be. Okay, 8700. This is where the incoming port and the listening port. Now let me deploy another application as well to the next container, which is 8092. Okay, and I'll take that hello world itself. Okay. Um, okay. It's easy to say import from Exchange. Okay. Then 8092. Okay, let's deploy it. And obviously I can see the logs here as well. I can just clear it, and you should see the logs getting generated here. Deploy 1892. Right? Yeah, okay, there you go. It has started. Okay, can you see this? All the logs are making more sense here. Starting API gateway, see gateway, flexible flex mode. See, it's all these names are interconnected to what we're doing in one or the other way. Okay, to that achieve the flex gateway. Now, now you have 8092 set up, and the thing is that now since you have two things set up, you can create um, where is it? You can create a cluster and create a group. Now, anyone wants to give it a try. What's the basic definition of creating a cluster and creating a group? See, what happens is that I take these two things. Okay, these two things. And then this is server. Okay, server 8091. Sorry, this is server 8092. Server 8092. Okay, this is server 1893. Okay, 1894. Now, cluster. You can add these two guys on a cluster. See, I can add both of them on a cluster. Obviously, there are concepts again, unicast and multicast. You treat unicast and multicast as your queue and topic. As the name itself is, uni means singular, multi means multiple directions. So just like your queue and topic. And the actual meaning of cast is nothing but throwing away. That's the actual meaning of you're trying to cast away your family, cast away the society, cast away your object, your entities. It's like throwing away. You're trying to completely shut off from the existing whatever you have accumulated. So that's the best name that they could have thought it, because since the network is, it's like the network is coming in one direction and you're trying to cast away in the another direction. So then the network is coming, this becomes your unicast, and the network is coming in one direction and I'm trying to cast in multiple direction. That's multiple cast, multicast and unicast. Okay. So, and you can select the servers and bring them to a cluster. See, when you create a cluster, remember this, both of them will be aware of each other. Okay, which means both of them are server aware of each other. But when you try to create a group, it's just a group, but it will be acting as an individual entity. It's not aware of each other. It's like, if I'm in a cluster, they're aware of each other. There are two servers which are aware of each other. But if I create a group, it's just a group. That's it. It's like group A, group B, group C, group D. That's it. And there are people within the group, which means the server within the group. When you're in cluster, you're actually trying to behave as one unique entity. So here also you can create a cluster, you can create a cluster, and you can just what do you call that, make it happen, right? So this is a demo that I don't want to give it right now because we're already at 5 o'clock. I'm trying to fasten up the session, sorry. So you can create a cluster and you can even create a group. So that's something that worth doing it. Okay. So now you have deployed one application to this cluster. Okay, so this container. The next use case, what I wanted to show is
Ankit,
that,
we
yeah,
have a question.
okay, okay.
The question is, what is the use to create a group?
Yeah. So if, this will be a disappointing answer, but still, group is just only for identification. Okay, nothing else. Let me be very blunt about it. There is no much of a significance except you're just identifying I belong to this particular region, entity, group. That's it. Okay. Apart from that, I don't see much of a significance at all uh, getting used. That's all it is. Okay. Maybe you don't like the answer, but that's all it is. Okay. I might add up more technical words, but at the end, it's just a group. For me, if I see it, it's just a group. Okay. Right. So let's get to it. Now, the second use case is that we have to cover a lot of use cases. Okay. Build jar file locally and deploy the application. Okay. This we have seen it. I mean, not seen it. We've just spoken about it. The next use case is that now this is done. Let's go to this guy. Okay. Now see this. Hello jar. Now what I'm doing over here. Demo 3. So this is the one. Okay. See this. I've developed a mule application that's listening on 8021. Okay. Called hello/jar. And I have set of Docker commands. And this time the only difference is that I've added a jar file here. See, jar file. And in the previous diagram, I did not had a jar file. See, I did not have a jar file here. I added a jar file here, 8021. Okay. And here, with the help of the Docker command, again, I'm going to create an image and spin up the containers. And this time, can you see there's no Anypoint manager at all? See, there's no Anypoint manager. Okay. Can you see this? Here we had this, sorry, Anypoint platform. Here we had Anypoint platform. But here, I don't have any. I don't have any. Yet, I can invoke it. Yet, I can invoke it with the postman. Okay. Let me show the command. What does this Docker file does? Okay. Pretty cool, no? Okay, see here. Again, language shell. Okay. Right. I don't want to change the direct. I don't want to run the, as I said, remove the directory will not help me. I've just, I think, what was the previous directory here? Was it the mule directory? It's mule work directory. And here this time, I think it's the same directory. Yeah. So I don't need even this command as well. It's already there. Okay. Now, Same as before, add this zip file and into this mule work directory. And then along with that, see, I'm also saying that please add this jar file. Okay, same as usual, unzip it, move. This time, see, it's a different directory. It's called as mule local. I'm renaming it to mule local. But in this previous one, here I had given as something else. See this mule directory. And here I had given as mule local. And as usual, remove the zip file, set up C drive, E drive, F drive, and copy this jar file into this app location. See, remember, I have just renamed this particular to mule local, which means this guy. Okay, and then within that directory, please go to the apps and then copy the jar file. And as usual, expose all the ports and then execute the command. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to take this cmd. I think this should be fine here itself. Any one of them should be fine. Okay, so same as this before. Um, Docker, you have to run this command again, same as this. Docker, instead of this mule standalone, I'm going to create a new image. I'm going to say mule deploy local. Okay. Yep, that's the one. Let's see this now. You should have another image right now here. Okay, just like mule standalone, you should have. Um, yeah, I think it's getting conflict with the directory. Okay, so just give me a moment. Just let me change this to an enter to, to new directory. That's it. That's it. As simple as that. Okay, cool. Okay. Um, say sure. Oh, okay. I did not create a. See, this is on. Okay, just removed it. Right. Remember. Okay. I just removed that make directory. That's the reason it says that I'm not able to find that. Okay. Set of instructions, guys. Set of instructions now. Yeah. See, now it's running. It's creating the directory. After that, it's doing its work. So I just removed it. See this mule deploy local. Now once that's done, as I said, okay, what I said, I have created a I have created a application which is listening on the port 8021 HTTP listener. Okay. Now, yet another question for you guys. Okay. Now, if I say something like this, Docker run, copy it. Okay. So, where do you think 8021 should be here? Whether it should be over in the left panel, again, here, or it should be here? Which one do you think I have to keep it? Is it in XX or YY? 8021. Remember, I have deployed a mule application on 8021 HTTP listener. So where do you think that 21 should fit in? Is it in XX or YY? Just let me check the chat. Good. Yeah, YY. So YY. And if I give something like uh, 8411, what do you think? Will it work? This particular Docker run 8411 and 8021. Do you think it will actually work? How many say? How many of you say yes and how many of you say no? See, I've given 8411 and I've given 8021. So do you think it will work? If I call by 8041, will it work? Anyone? So let's see. Okay, now what we understood, I've given 8021 here, but I've given 8411 here. Okay, and the path name is hello jar. let's see this. So if I go to this port, um, yeah, it's running 8411. Okay. So if I give 8021, 8021 slash hello jar, yeah, it will not work. It will not work. It is 8411.
Hello, Manju. I think your screen got stuck.
Okay. Um, Now,
Yeah.
can you guys see my screen?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, you guys can see my screen, right? Okay, good. So, oops,
Unable to see Madhu again.
Manju, did you stop sharing?
I don't know. Okay, now?
Yes, now it's visible.
Okay, good. So, guys, okay. Now, yes, here. I've given 8411 and 8021. Now, if your answer is if I have to call 8021 and invoke that jar file, your answer is wrong. You again, I'm stressing this. There's one is listening port and the other one is incoming port. I have created a listening port 8021 in my MuleSoft here. See here, if I go to this Anypoint Studio here, and if I click on this here, I'm just showing this to you guys. Okay, can you see this here? I've created this as something like this 8021 and deployed it. Okay, but when you invoke, you should not call this. You should call 8041, 8411. Sorry, 8411, 8411. So if I go back here and check this 8411, you are still not getting the message, either 8411 or 8021. Why? So can you spot the error here? By any chance, can you spot the error? What could be the error here? Error is here only. Can you spot this error? Anyone? Okay, just to uh, give a little bit of so here, anything that you guys are spotting the difference now.
The status is unused.
You've deployed it on standalone, but then the one that you used is new image was mule local, right?
Correct. Say I use this image. I told you, right? Remember initially when it gets used, it will show as in use. Okay, I've used, it was a deliberate movement only. I deliberately use this wrong image. Okay, so that's the reason. See, these are the actual project issues. All these issues, the one issue that you have seen, it's a very common project issue. If you are working in MuleSoft Dockers and containers, very common issue. Uh, we end up deploying wrong containers even in production as well. This is a very common thing, and that's the reason I wanted to show this. Let me exit out of it, shutting down. Okay, so this is unused. Okay, so just let me delete this as well. Now this time we'll use the proper naming, which is not MuleSoft. Sorry, this one. Um, Image, which is mule deploy local. Okay, okay, there you go. Now see, it's in use. And this time again, there's no any point platform. There is no any point platform at all. Okay, and here 8021 will not work, and it should be 84. Which was the port we used? It's
8411.
8411. Okay, see, Please get this concept very much clear in your head. Incoming port, listening port, two different things. That's the reason. Prepare this diagram, especially when even in your projects. Okay, please prepare this kind of diagrams. This will save a lot of time. Now it's time that we start this flex gateway. I don't know, someone. This will take a lot of time now. Um, it will actually take a lot of time.
Mm, we have another 15-20 minutes. Let's see how much we can do. Otherwise, we'll continue the next session.
Right. Okay. So, guys, things are getting heated up. Sorry, we have to kind of keeping time as one of the prime factor. Now with this is where your power of flex gateway comes into picture. Can you see this diagram? So this is where your flex gateway overall kind of looks out when you go for an actual project. This is a small demo, small pictorial representation of how a project would look like. Okay, and I was able to create that just couple of hours back before the session. Okay, so let's go back here. Windows, you have WSL, and this you would have known by now. You have containers already running here, and you know what port to invoke, what port not to invoke. Now in that same WSL, because again I'm in Docker. Remember, I'm in Docker. Okay, now it's time that you spin up Mule Flex Gateway, and this time we are in connected mode. Okay, now after this, we'll go back to that network terminology again, and then you will see what is the difference between that. Why I brought that networking concept so strongly. Okay, so first is first. Okay, what you have to do is that. Okay, by the way, we are done with this. Okay, create a directory. Create a directory called any directory called as Flex Gateway or anything of that your sort. Okay, and in the MuleSoft documentation, again, these commands are available in MuleSoft documentation. I mean, like there is nothing that I'm going speaking new. It's available in the MuleSoft documentation. Okay, so I've just pulled it, copy pasted from there. Nothing else. Okay, so this is again I'm in connected mode. Remember, we have started with connected mode and Docker combination. First thing. Okay, first let's navigate to that particular directory. Navigate to that particular directory. Okay. Okay. And let's execute this first command. Docker pull MuleSoft Flex Gateway, which means remember, so far, so far we were creating the image of MuleSoft, which is zip file, which is a zip file. Just like if you guys have ever installed the operating system, right, you will always get in .deb, .zip, or .iso, .img, dmg. There are many extensions where you get the zip files, and it will unpack itself and start deploying the contents. In the similar way, we are actually building the image of Flex Gateway, which means that we already have an image given by MuleSoft, team MuleSoft. You take that up and create an image. Okay, so Docker pull, again, these commands, maybe if, if I get an opportunity again to speak in Kolkata Meetup, I'll talk about Dockers in specific. Okay, so Docker pull MuleSoft gateway. Can you see this now? Which means you are trying to spin up one more image. Okay, you should have it here. Okay, there you go. You got the image. Now, next thing is that once you have set up the image, these are certain commands. Docker run. Okay, Docker run, and then you have an entry point and flex control. Okay, can you see this flex control? Okay, and then you have an
Screen is not visible.
sorry
Your screen is not visible.
again. First I had issue with audio. Now my screen is not visible. Okay,
Stop sharing.
one minute. I'm sharing again.
Yeah, visible.
Okay, great. Sorry guys. Okay, run. You have the flex control, unique identifier, and this is your path. This entire thing is your path, which we just created a directory. /register it. Please register that. What do you need to register? Register with this particular image that you have just created it. And initially the older command was just register, but the updated docker command says registration create. If you have been worked on this in the initial time of when MuleSoft said that, okay, here's your Flex gateway, you had just register, but now it's registration create. Do not forget this. And then you have organization, token, and then the output directory. The output directory, uh, this is the output directory where you will get a YAML file, and then see here connected is equal to true. See this, connected is equal to true. Pay attention to this, okay? I'll tell you why. And then the gateway name. Let's give this gateway name, okay? I'm going to say flex demo gateway 001. Now, where do I get this organization ID and everything? So it's simple. Click on this flex gateway, add gateway. See this. This is what I was saying. You can work in Linux. You can work on this. You can work on this, or you can work on even this as well. Up to you. I'm like, if you ask what is the right option, again, I keep telling this. There's no such thing as bad design, good design, or right option or wrong option. It is just an option where you have to work what your customer or the project requires. That's it. And out of the available option, make the best out of it. Okay. So this is what we are dealing right now. Container Docker. Okay. Can you see this? This is the first one. And second, it gives you this organization is nothing but your business group ID. That almost remains same. This token keeps on changing. Just pay attention to that, okay? And then the gateway name. So let's take this organization ID, okay? And then, all right, there you go. That's your organization. And then next your token. This keeps on changing. Remember this, okay? Yeah, and then the name. Okay. Now let's take this and run. Okay, while that is in progress, I want to also show you something else. No, I can't snap this. Okay. I think the settings have changed. Okay. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, so there you go. Yeah, this also I wanted to show this. Good. See this cannot exceed a particular range. Okay, you cannot exceed a particular range. This is something that we often don't see the error, but it was one of the error that we've had identified in one of the projects. Okay, so make sure that this is in the available range, unique identifier. Okay, it's just an identifier, nothing more than that. Okay, don't stress about it. Okay, registration is completed, and can you see this here? You got this gateway name. Again, it's in disconnected. Can you remember the concept of Docker? In use or not or use. There are only two things. If the gateway is connected, just like right, we just saw this. You build an image. After building an image, if you don't associate it with a particular port, it will be it's not in use. The moment once you associate it with a port, it will be in use. And that's what it just happened. It just got disconnected because it just got created, nothing else. See, you got a registration YAML file, and here bunch of things. Okay, region where it gets deployed, and let's keep and the public certificates. Okay, in an encrypted format. It will be a two SSL. How and why? Maybe some other session. Okay, so this registration YAML file will be the base for a file that will help you to build the containers, that will help you to flex gateways. Okay, so the next command is that same as before. Docker run from the particular location where you're running. This is a location, right? This is a location. Okay, and then port. This time I'm going to deploy on 8071 and 8072 and the image name. The moment if I am deploying two ports, right, it becomes automatically cluster aware. It becomes automatically a cluster aware. Okay, so let me show that. Okay, the first one, run it 8071. The second one, 8072. Remember what has just happened. So let's go back to this diagram. It just means that here you're listening in 8071. You're listening in 8071, but your incoming port is 8072 or 8071. Which means when a user makes a call, user will either call to 8071 or 8072. He will never call on 8071. If I had given something like this here, if I had given something as 4000,
Sorry, Manju, like your screen got stuck.
okay,
No, actually.
no, right?
No, your screen is working fine.
Okay, good. Okay, sorry, I have to fasten up, guys. Okay, so this is 4000. See, this is 4. If I give something like 4000, something like this 4000 or 5000, remember, if you have to develop an application which will be in 8071, but when a user calls, you'll be calling 4000 or 5000. Okay, now can you see this? Okay, now let me reverse this and see this here. Yeah, now it got connected, and can you see you have two replicas? You have two replicas. Now this is in connected mode. Okay, this is in connected mode. Okay, now if I go to local mode, same as before. Let's go to the local mode, create a directory, create a directory as just like local. Okay, create a directory called local, and then just let me delete this. Okay, local. Let's navigate to this path. Okay, now let's navigate to this path, local, and then sorry, wrong comment. Okay, then again, and here local is a bit different. First is that you need to have a connected app. Connected app. Okay, connected app. Now where do I get this from? Connected app. So for that, you have to go to access management. Okay, access management. Another 5 minutes, guys. We'll wind up the session. Okay, 5 to 10 minutes. So click on this connected apps. You create an app. You create an app, and here this is self-explanatory. Application that is acts on behalf of a user. If you go to a bank and you say that I'm not the original person, I'm on behalf of someone else, so you please give me the necessary money, something like that. Okay, an application is trying to behalf of someone else. At that moment, you please authenticate with all the options. If you yourself are going to a bank to withdraw the money, then you don't need to authenticate because you're already been authenticated by Anypoint platform. So you don't need to authenticate again. You're already been authenticated. So that's all it means. So the option I had selected was connected app, and then once you have selected it, make sure that you add the particular scopes for it. There are options that where you can add the scope, which means that particular application you're saying that give me the scope to manage the server, read the server, and view the organization. But in real time projects, you'll have more than this. You'll have more than that. Okay. Once you have done that, copy the client ID and client secret of this particular app. Okay, and that's what it is. See, Docker run the particular folder registration, the user identity as a unique identity, registration create, and then you see the client ID, which means this particular client ID, client secret, and this is your sandbox environment ID, and this is your business group ID. Okay, clear, simple. The connected app client ID, client secret, the environment sandbox or whichever environment that you have created, and the business group ID. And finally, okay, see now can you see this? The only difference is that here we had connected is equal to true. Can you see anywhere here connected is true? No, you don't. Because that's the local deployment. That's your local deployment. Because again, if I go back to this diagram, the very first diagram here, now do you remember, if this entire establishment is done locally, if entire establishment is done locally, then this itself is not required. I mean, it's required, but think it's not required. This tunnel itself is enough for me to make the job done. But now, since I've said as connected, which means this guy was in a different country altogether. And what it does, it registered to this one of the switches, which is available in your local, deployed in your local. And this is what is your Anypoint platform. Anypoint platform. Okay. So now I'm saying connected is not, since I don't have connected is true. I don't have here in local, which means that this should not be visible. Which means here, here I should not see that gateway name, whatever I have created here. This is a gateway name. Okay. I'm going to say demo local gateway 001. Okay. I'll take this and I'll paste it. Okay. Okay. Let's see. There you go. Registration has been completed. Now, by any chance, if you see this name particular here, this particular name, demo local in Flex Gateway, then it's not connected. It's not connected. It's not a connected mode. It's a connected mode means again go back to this. Always remember this, because the name was connected means this was somewhere else. It's in a different country, and hence we are saying locally please connect to this guy through Anypoint platform here through switch. But since it's local, right, everything is here and I don't need this. And with the help of tunneling I can route the data. It just creates a tunnel between the access point and the WLC, and that's exactly what has happened here, saying that demo local gateway. Okay. And then as usual you need to create, you have to use the docker run command and associate that image with that particular port. And even here as well, you'll see registration.yaml. Here also you'll see registration.yaml. Okay, that's the registration.yaml. And this is where I'm going to stop. Sorry, we already exceeded 5 minutes. What I wanted to show the demo is that how do you deploy the application? How do you deploy the application, and how do you set up? How to deploy application in connected and local mode? How to build up the policies? And what I really wanted to show was that how you can deploy non-MuleSoft application in containers with the help of Flex Gateway and in connected and local mode. This is something I wanted to talk, but it's 5:34. I think it's time that I stop here.
Manju, we can have another session, but then this was
Yeah,
the
correct,
the background behind how the Flex Gateway works, right?
correct.
So, is any questions, anyone?
How was the session, guys? Did you guys like it? I hope it was not boring. Any questions right now?
I don't see any questions in the chat. So,
Good. I think I made my. I think everyone was clear, I guess. Good, Anarchy. Okay, we'll revisit, guys, again. Okay, this is a half broken session, but the base has been set up. Now it was time to build up the stronger contents. I think that's where we let's see how we can pick up in the next
yeah,
upcoming.
we'll have another session for the remaining part of it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Yeah, I'll stop recording.
Thank